In this tutorial today, we are going to talk about reading files, writing files, reading files, writing files, reading and writing files in Python. So, reading and writing files in Python, what does it mean? What are we meaning? We are meaning that this allows us to use files like text, documentaries, which are not in Python extensions outside in our files. By using a read and write code, but note when we are dealing with other files which are not in the same extension of Python, those files must and should be in the same directory or folder with our program or Python extension program we are writing. So we use a code called the open to open those files, to let them have a variable, and you let them have a variable to be represented. Or let's make a variable to present such a file. Let me say that I have a text. Let me make a text here, then I'll come back for you. So for this text, for undercode software text, so to call this, because when you see, you look, this is a text extension in a text, not in a py as a Python extension, but in a text. So to call this text in our Python, when we are dealing with Python extension codes, we just let's make a variable called undercodes software, and we assign it to a value. Remember, we use what they call an open code. So we put open. After opening, we enter we put what they call the file, but not the file should be in the same directory. So for our file is this one, because it's a text. It's called UCS undercode software. Let's call a code called software dot text, because it's a text dot text. Then when after that we put okay. So we have made our variable called the undercode software file. So we have tried to open this file, the text file extension.text, in our python.py first program. So we try to open by writing a first code called the open parenthesis. We put the name of the extension we want to open. So the name is UCS code software dot text. So the R meaning that we want to try to read it. R, it's to read it. We want to read it. So if we try to use a for loop, we make a variable called software. For software in under called software file dot read lines. So read lines, we are going to read it as lines, because when we are using a for loop, it puts each letter, each number, each character on its single line. So for files, when we use dot read lines, it will put each line as it is as you are seeing it in this text file. So we use what I call the read lines. So when we print out our software we have called in the for loop. So also note this, that after writing our stuff here, we have also to close. We open the file and we close it. So just put that in your mind, that after opening a file we have to close it. So when we try to run our program, you'll see that in our terminal it has executed everything is in what they call in our undercodes software file, the file.xx. So this file has been executed in our terminal, as you see here down in our terminal as it was. So if you want to use just the read function, you will see that each letter of our file will be executed on a single, each word, each letter, each character will be on a single line. So if you use what I call just read only, so you can also let us ignore this and we comment out this and we try to print out uns underscore files dot read, let's say dot read. So if we try, let's try this and see what we get in our terminal. Oops, we get what I call invalid. Let me see. So we can only execute our files just using the for loop. So when we try to write for software in undercode software files, when you write dot and write let me say w, you'll see that it's going to try to bring us methods m. You see, every m is called a method. So when we say r w, so it's called writable. So when we try to print out software, we shall see that, oops, so we ignore the if statement, the for loop statement. So we try just to type undercode software search files dot write. We open parentheses. When we are dealing with write, we write what the statement or what we want to write already, what we want to write or to add in the file. So when we try to run our program, you will see that nothing has happened. But when we try to go back in our directorate and see that we have two text extension files. So when we try to open them, we see that we have already got a new text file called software text. A new software text written in we are the best in programming. So when we try again to write let's say what a best learning YouTube what, let's say YouTube channel. So we also change the name to what they are under code software. So if we try to run this program, yes, it gives us an empty terminal. But when we try to look again in our directorate, we see that there is a new written text called under codes text.txt. So when we open it, we see that we have what they call what a best learning YouTube channel. So as you see, so let's remove this. So there is also what we call to append. So for appending, we use the appending. This adds certain documentary, adds let me say, adds what we call this text to the already existing text. So it adds the written text in the parentheses to the already existing text. So when we try to run this, let me say, let's try to do this. We change this to append and also change the text. Remove this and we have this text here. So when we try to use this to append this on our documentary, this under codes here, we use what they call the A. This A means appending. So when we run our program, oops, so we got an error. So for appending method, so we don't write append here. Dot append, just write dot write. It remains what they call dot write because we are writing. So we are adding some text to the extension. So we use write instead of append. So when we try to run our program, you'll see that in our terminal we are going to get an empty terminal. But going back to the file, we see that we have already added, we are the best in programming, to the existing text. So when we try to add here, let us add it to no, let's add the text to, let me see, to this one. No, that's not okay. Also I'll add more on undercodes text. Let's add what they call learning with me Ryan. Oops. So when we try to run again our program, you see that to get an empty terminal. So going back to the text extension, we see that we have already appended a text called learning with me Ryan. all about reading files. We also have some methods called there's also a method called R plus. It just enables us to, the R plus code means you can read and at the same time write. It gives you the ability to read and write. So just for writing, it gives you the ability to write, not read in the terminal, just write in the back end to the text. So or if you use read, it also allows you to read, but no, you cannot edit the text. So if you use R plus, you can read and write files in the background. That's all about the modes. So we heard about the modes R and R plus, it's read and write. A, it means to append, that is the append mode. W means to write only, the writing mode. Also we have R, just only, just for reading only. So we can go and make more search on files, but those are the main issues and modes especially used in files. So thank you for watching this tutorial. Just subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get more videos. So thank you very much for watching and taking your time to stay with me, Ryan, on Undercode Software. See you in the next tutorial. Don't forget to share and comment. I love you guys. See you. But in the next tutorial, I'm going to talk about functions in Python.